Tolerance is the ability to be able to absorb the situation around you, to absorb the negativities around you, and to also absorb the positive around you. Why? Because positive and negative are exactly coming from the same mind and the same perception and the same situation. So when we're able to tolerate situations around us, good and bad, the tolerance level and how strong it is fully dependent on how much we care about another person. Some people might think that it's very difficult to tolerate difficult situations. Some people think it's very difficult to tolerate difficult people or a lot of people. How much we can tolerate is dependent 100% on the amount of compassion and the amount of care or the amount of genuine empathy we have for others. How can we, on the one hand, be very empathetic towards the poor on the street, but we're not empathetic toward the spiritually impoverished right next to us? Because the spiritually impoverished right next to us leads to the outer physical impoverishment which we see on the streets. Why? The cause always reflects the results. The results always reflects the cause. They're similar. That means if I give you things and I donate and I help and I'm generous, I cannot end up being a miserly, selfish person. Why do I say that? Because some people have a lot of money and they're very miserly. So they're very difficult to spend money. Hence, they live as if they have no money. So it's the same thing as having no money. Because why? You can't let go and you can't share and you can't give and you're always worried about it, even when you go to your grave. So people like that, they suffer quite a lot, just as much as a person on the street, because they live as if they don't have anything. And some people I've heard many times say, oh, well, when I was growing up, my father was very poor or our family is very poor, so I've learned to be thrifty and I've learned to save and I've learned to be very careful. No, that's not the real reason. The real reason is you think that having wealth gives you security, and it doesn't. Because if it gave you security, your mind would be at peace at all times and you wouldn't be worried. You're not. So hence, tolerance is how much you care about others, how much you truly wish to benefit others. If you wish to benefit others tremendously, your tolerance level will be very, very high and very, very overwhelming, and it will be consistent and constant. If you're not able to tolerate, you ask, why can't I tolerate? Why can't I tolerate? Then the simple answer is because you don't care enough. Because your empathy is limited and it's narrow and it's for selfish reasons. Example, a young couple, before they get married, how much can they tolerate? After they get married, they have to tolerate each other. Then they have to tolerate each other's in-laws. Then when the kids come, they have to tolerate the kids. Then they have to tolerate the kids' friends and their way of doing things. And the kids sometimes will be very good, very bad. And then the kids will bring in their nama means they bring in their brides or grooms. You got to tolerate their extended families. So the toleration level grows and grows and grows because we care about this person. So sometimes our kids can be a monster or our in-laws can be a monster and we keep quiet, we don't say, we don't fight back. And if we're direct, we're not direct. Why? Because we have to tolerate because it's for self-preservation. So when it's for yourself, in business, in family, in love, in daily dealings, we can tolerate quite a lot because it's for ourselves. Some of you who are in business, some of you who have worked very hard, how much have you tolerated in the last few decades? Lying, cheating, sneaky people trying to trick you? How much have you tolerated? And you keep tolerating it. Why do you? Because it's for yourself. When you're able to tolerate things for yourself, very greatly, you can travel a lot, you can do business deals, you can work in a hawker place, you can work 10, 12 hours a day, you really wheel and deal, you don't need sleep, you get gastric, you lose your youth because of it, you lose your health because of it, but you can still do this, and you keep doing it, and you say, well, it's for my kids, well, it's for my friends, it's for this, it's for that. The reason is because it's for yourself. Because it's for yourself, you're able to tolerate. That's why from a higher point of view, that's not tolerance, that's selfishness. Because you have your self-agenda. Very simple. Things that we would tolerate with our families, with our husbands and wives and our kids, we wouldn't tolerate with the person next to us. You say, well, that's my family, I'll have to. Because the family benefits you. The family takes care of you, or you want something from the family. You have some projection about, if you have this family, you will get this, 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 and this. Hence, you tolerate. Look, if you look at your husbands and you look at your wives and you don't know them at all, and you don't have anything to do with them, and you look at them for who they really are, you wouldn't tolerate them. There are husbands and wives of people that I cannot stand, but they themselves really love their husbands and wives. They really love them. They say, oh, they're great. I can't live without them. I want to be with them in my next life also. I look at them and say, oh my God. I just look at it and say, never, never. What's my point? My point is, because you are selfishly attached to them. You're using them for yourself. You are using them for yourself. Because you are using them for yourself, you call it, well, I tolerate. You're not tolerating. You're just increasing. You're just increasing your selfishness. So how do we learn tolerance? By realizing who's our real enemy. How do we learn empathy, empathetic tolerance? Is by realizing what really makes ourselves and others unhappy and happy. So how come we're very tolerant to our kids? How come we're very tolerant? How come when other people complain of our kids, they're spoiled, they destroy things, they just waste money, they just drink, they have fun, and we still give them more money? But when we see that about other people, we say, no, let me teach you a lesson. I'm not going to give you money. I'm going to teach you how to make money, because if I give you money, you're wasted. You're two-faced. Why are you two-faced? Because it's your kids. And so they do bad, you look bad. So you make sure they don't do bad by pumping more money in them. You protect their ego. Simple. You're not taking care of them. You're taking care of yourself ultimately. But some people know that, some people don't. Some people know, some people don't. So hence you think about it. It's very simple. You don't need to study 20 years in the monastery or 10 years or 30 years to understand that. If you understand that, do it. If you don't do it, it's not that you don't understand. You want to pretend you don't understand. Because what I spoke about for the last half hour is very easy to understand. Very simple to understand. If you don't understand, it's just you don't want to understand. The second alternative could be that you're not used to listening to words that will truly help. You're used to listening to pettiness, narrow-mindedness, selfishness. Simple as that. Because what I say, I'm not giving you big words. I'm not giving you philosophical terms. I'm not debating with you. I'm not giving you weird Nepali names and places to remember. I'm giving you clear, straightforward logic. If you don't understand that, well, I've got to be patient and very tolerant and pray for you and look for other opportunities to penetrate your mind. And that's my job. I've got to be very patient and find opportunities to penetrate your mind through different means and different ways, even if it takes years or decades. I've got to do that. Why do I got to do that? Because if I don't, maybe you will not have another chance and nobody else will. I don't have a savior complex. If you have somebody else that can open your mind, I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy. No problem. Why am I very happy? Because you'll come back to say, thank you very much. You started it. I said, yes, you're welcome. Angpa. Very simple. So I don't mind that at all. So if you give up on someone, you should give up on everybody else that you have been tolerant with. Your kids, your family, your in-laws, all that. You have to give up. You have to be even, Stephen. Don't be so high and mighty on your moral and ethics and principles and say, well, I'm like that, like that, like that. If you're like that, you should be like that with everyone, everywhere, all, irrespective of their connection with you. Because if they're connected to you and you're tolerant, you have an agenda. Simple. So don't say you're straightforward, you talk this way, you act this way, you're this way. You should be like that with everybody. Everyone. Why is it you can share other people's secrets, but you don't share your family's secrets? Why is it you can talk about other people's negative qualities, but you don't talk about your own negative qualities? Simple. That's how we can check our mind. So tolerance arises from empathetic care towards others. Empathetic care towards others arises from the state of mind that has become less selfish. The state of mind that has become less selfish arises from understanding that the selfish mind brings more unhappiness to others and oneself. Very logical. Then on top of that, if we have a beautiful altar at home, and we have our sadhana, we have our lama to teach us, we have our teachers, and we meditate, and we do our prayers, we make our offerings to collect merit, then when we listen to these teachings, it'll sink in. When it sinks in, we'll transform. When we transform, everything else around us will transform. Everybody else will not transform, but our perception of them will. So everything transforms. Tolerance arises from care. Care arises from understanding samsaric or existence and the nature of existence. And that arises from knowing that all problems arise from our selfish mind. It's all connected. So be tolerant when you're in Dharma. Just like a police has to be extra better than everybody else. You say, well, you just said Dharma people don't have to be. Yes, there are Dharma people who are not Dharma people, who think they're Dharma people. Yes. There are people who go to the hospital, think they're healed, they go out, they don't, they get misdiagnosed. Or they don't take their medication, they don't follow the treatment. There's all types of people out there, but that doesn't mean we have to give up. No doctor says, oh, you didn't follow my instructions, die. No doctor. So no Lama can say you didn't follow my instructions, out. He may say that temporarily, but ultimately, no. He will never tell you out. Ultimately. Temporarily, he might say, get lost, go get another job, go over here, do this, disappear. Temporarily. It's just not a skillful method to wake you up. So be tolerant with each other. Be tolerant with the situation. Be tolerant because you wish to engage in spiritual practice. Be tolerant because making friends with outer enemies is worth your while. Making friends with your inner enemies is not worth your while. When you nurture outer enemies, you will win and become friends. When you nurture your inner enemies, you will become bigger enemies and they'll create more harm to you. Tolerate is a very strong word. Accept everyone and work for them continuously, diligently, again and again, even in future lives. That is a vow of a Bodhisattva. That's a vow of a person wishing to become a Bodhisattva. That is in the Bodhisattva vows. Continuously work for others, non-stop, and return back again and again and again. In every single life to specifically benefit others. Specifically. And after a while, your tolerance level becomes very easy and very high. And other people say, oh, you can tolerate so much. You go, oh yeah. You didn't even realize it. It becomes natural. That's the thing we want, to become natural. That's what we want.